I'm here in front of the St. John's Anglican Church because I wanted to talk to you about the Salmon family. History books indicate that Colonel Salmon and Thomas Rolfe came together from England to this area to hunt for wild turkeys and ducks, and ended up creating quite a bit of history. For instance, Colonel Salmon himself had bought a house, or built a house, near Harry Creek down by Port Arthur. Here's a picture of it. The history books also indicate that Colonel Salmon was quite instrumental in being one of the first persons responsible for building this church behind us. This is the grave of George Salmon, who came from England to hunt for turkeys and ended up having 2 sons, and marrying a second time and having some daughters. He lies here with his wife Mary. Colonel Salmon had 2 sons that we're going to talk about. The oldest one was George, who became Reverend George Salmon. And the second son was William Thomas Salmon. He actually became a judge in Norfolk County and actually is the fellow who built what is now the Blue Elephant restaurant. This is the fellow we're interested in. This is William Thomas Salmon. Notice it says he was a member of the Royal College of Surgeons. He was a doctor. Notice on the tombstone that it also mentions that he fell victim to scarlet fever and he died at a young age. I just wanted to explain that when you're doing video logs or vlogs, especially of property, sometimes when you get all the information that you feel is correct and are about to record it all, something pops up to show you that, oh, there's more information, or the information you do have is wrong. This is a prime example. In the video we had talked to Heather about ghosts that appeared in the property. Yeah, William Thomas Salmon. With his first marriage, he had 2 kids.
Okay.
His one child also became a doctor, Dr. William Thomas Salmon, same name. But he died very early in his 40s.
The older gentleman died.
Well, he's in his 40s.
Okay.
It was William Thomas Salmon who built the house.
Yep.
His son.
His son passed away, so I wonder if that's
And
what Kim
he was about
says.
40, and he died February the 3rd, 1864 from scarlet fever that he caught from treating other people with scarlet fever.
Ah, okay.
You know, so.
Maybe
prior
that's
to
what
that,
yeah.
prior to that, they had an infant daughter
Okay.
who died.
Oh.
By infant, when I looked at it, it could be anywhere up to 8 or 9 or whatever, you know.
Yep.
So that would be the son of the builder of this house.
The son of the builder of this house. So
There
was 2 deaths within this house then.
That's right. There was the son and the daughter.
Okay. Well, then maybe that is who it is then.
Yeah, that's what I wondered.
Yeah, very well could be. Because like I said, I mean, it's hard to say because like that the lady has, I mean, she's kind of in a flowy dress and that's who most people see. But Kim, one of my other waitresses, I mean, she sees this older gentleman, which, you know, burly beard and whatever, right? And so maybe that's who
in 1864, a lot of gentlemen would have had a beard,
yeah,
and would have looked a lot older than what they do today at 42 years of age.
Exactly.
These ghosts have appeared to employees as well as clients. Now let's kind of talk about that a little bit. Additional information popped up to show that right next to the Blue Elephant, that is towards town, there was an old army barracks. Now this is going back to the turn of the century of 1800. The back of the picture that I found indicates that the army barracks was built in 1795. To me that seems kind of early. But anyway, it turns out that William Thomas Salmon did buy this property also. And it was standing as is, and what he did was put new siding on it and put the veranda porch all the way around it. And eventually it was tore down. This property stood on what the town of Simcoe at the time considers lots 7 and 8 on Norfolk Street south of Peel. The Blue Elephant sat on lot 6. talking about the salmon family, Colonel George C. for catchmid salmon arrived here in our area about 1809 and bought that home and lived, as I mentioned, in Port Ryerson. He was born in 1778 and passed away in 1843. He was a major and then became a colonel of both the 1st and 2nd Norfolk Rifles. An interesting story about Colonel Salmon that a lot of people aren't aware of. In the War of 1812, the Americans had unknowingly set up camp on Long Point. When Colonel Salmon found out about it, he took a company of the Norfolk Rifles over to Long Point and captured the American forces and their ship. What he did was kind of strange maybe, but anyway, what he did was he took over all of their ammunition, their weapons, and their ship, and made a deal with them that if they would no longer do anything against their King George III, he would allow them to go back to the States. They agreed, and this is what happened. Interesting point of history here in Norfolk County. Colonel Salmon had 2 children. George Salmon Jr. and William Thomas Salmon. George Salmon Jr. was born in 1801 and became Reverend Salmon. His grave and his family is all buried at St. John's Anglican Church. William Thomas Salmon, born the next year in 1802 and passed away in 1868, he became the judge in Norfolk County. He owned properties on Norfolk Street, and he or one of his immediate relatives built the Blue Elephant restaurant. He was first married to Emma Rolfe. Emma Rolfe died in 1838. The children that they had were William Thomas Salmon Jr. This fellow placed some significance because William Thomas Salmon Jr. became a doctor. He was born in 1836 and unfortunately passed away in 1864 at only age 28. His tombstone and the records indicate that as a doctor, he contacted a deadly disease from one of his patients and passed away. The second child born to them was a daughter. She died in 1837. Unfortunately, she was unnamed as she was only 1.5 months of age. Why do I mention that? Well, the conversation we had with Heather before indicated that maybe the girl, the Victorian girl, ghost that has been seen, was this young girl. Don't think so now when I really look at it. In fact, William Thomas Salmon Jr., his first wife, Emma Rolfe, she died in her early 30s. So don't you think the sighting of a young woman in Victorian dress might have been her? Don't know. Anyway, the second ghost that was sighted was a young gentleman. Who would that be? Well, why couldn't it be the doctor himself, William Thomas Salmon, who passed away when he was only 28 years of age? The second marriage was to Jane Fraser. Jane was born in 1809 and died in 1882. They had 2 children, Emma Isabella Salmon, who was born in 1847, and Annie Margaret, nicknamed Pawnee Salmon. Not a whole lot has been recorded by me about them anyway, but the Salmon family is all recorded at the archives in Averbrook Downey Museum. Hi, I'm going to call it quits for now, even though there's a lot of information on the Salmon family that I could still include. However, do me a favor. If you like my videos, please give me the thumb up. Or if you have any comments, please shrink the video and put your comments down below. The comments could be about the Salmon family, the videos, or ghosts. Thanks for watching.